You pour a glass of water, take a sip, and trust that it's safe, because it comes from the tap. But what if the very water you drink every day is silently exposing your body to cancer-linked chemicals? Not overnight, not instantly, but slowly, quietly, over years and decades. Tap water in the United States and most developed countries does meet regulatory standards. But here's the truth most people never hear. Cancer risk is rarely about one big exposure. It's about small doses, repeated daily, over a lifetime. This is exactly how environmentally related cancers develop, and water is one of the most consistent exposures we all share. Today, we're uncovering 13 dangerous chemicals found in your tap water that have been linked to cancer, and once you hear this, you may never look at your faucet the same way again. 1. Disinfection byproducts, DBPs. Disinfection byproducts are chemicals created when chlorine or chloramine, used to kill bacteria, react with organic matter in water. This process may protect you from infections, but it also produces compounds like trihalomethanes and haloacetic acids. These chemicals don't just disappear after treatment, they travel straight into your home and into your body. Every shower, every glass of water, every cooked meal becomes a point of exposure. Over time, this constant contact adds up in ways most people never consider. From a cancer perspective, DBPs are most strongly linked to bladder cancer. The reason is unsettling. These chemicals are filtered by the kidneys and stored in urine, where they remain in prolonged contact with bladder tissue. Studies across North America and Europe consistently show higher bladder cancer rates in communities with long-term exposure to elevated THMs. DNA damage and impaired cellular repair are central to this process. This is not about panic, it's about awareness of cumulative risk. So arsenic, inorganic arsenic. Arsenic is one of the most well-established carcinogens in environmental medicine. It occurs naturally in groundwater and is also left behind by industrial activity, mining, and old pesticide use. Many people assume arsenic contamination is rare, but it affects millions worldwide, especially those relying on wells. Unlike contaminants that degrade over time, arsenic persists and accumulates. From an oncologic standpoint, arsenic exposure is linked to cancers of the skin, lungs, bladder, kidneys, and liver. It causes oxidative stress, disrupts DNA repair, and alters gene expression through epigenetic changes. The most alarming fact is this: there is no safe level of arsenic exposure. Even concentrations below regulatory limits have been associated with increased cancer risk in long-term studies. This makes arsenic one of the most dangerous water contaminants known. 3. Hexavalent chromium, chromium-6. Chromium-6 gained public attention years ago, but it remains a serious and ongoing concern. It enters water supplies through industrial pollution, pipe corrosion, and naturally occurring geological deposits. Unlike some metals, chromium-6 easily penetrates human cells. Once inside, it directly damages DNA at a molecular level. Research links chromium-6 ingestion to stomach cancer, while inhalation exposure is clearly associated with lung cancer. Animal studies and human data suggest that long-term ingestion increases gastrointestinal cancer risk. What makes this chemical particularly dangerous is its efficiency. It doesn't need high doses to cause harm. Chronic, low-level exposure over decades is enough to elevate risk. If this information matters to you and your family, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us continue sharing life-saving knowledge that most people never hear. 4. Nitrates and nitrites. Nitrates and nitrites commonly enter water through agricultural runoff, animal waste, and failing septic systems. These contaminants are especially prevalent in rural areas and private wells. On their own, they may seem harmless, but inside the body they undergo a dangerous transformation. Once ingested, nitrates can convert into N-nitroso compounds, some of the most potent carcinogens known to science. These compounds are strongly linked to stomach and colorectal cancers, with emerging evidence connecting them to thyroid cancer. Long-term exposure is the key issue, particularly for families who rely on untreated well water. This is a slow process, but one with serious consequences. 5. PFAS, forever chemicals. PFAS, including PFOA and PFOS, are among the most alarming contaminants in modern water systems. They originate from industrial discharge, firefighting foams, and everyday products like non-stick cookware. Once they enter water, they do not break down. Instead, they accumulate in the environment and in your body. From a cancer research perspective, PFAS exposure is linked to kidney and testicular cancers, with growing evidence connecting them to breast and prostate cancer. These chemicals disrupt hormone signaling, suppress immune function, and interfere with normal cell growth. Their persistence is what makes them especially dangerous. You are not exposed once. You are exposed continuously, often for life. And here's the most disturbing part. Many of these chemicals are perfectly legal at certain levels. That doesn't mean they're harmless. It only means they're regulated, not eliminated. Stay with me, because what comes next reveals risks almost no one talks about. 6. Radon in water. Radon is a radioactive gas that forms naturally in bedrock and groundwater, especially in certain geographic regions. While most people associate radon with indoor air, water can be a hidden and often overlooked source. When radon-contaminated water is used for showering, washing dishes, or cooking, the gas is released into the air and inhaled into the lungs. This means exposure can happen daily without anyone realizing it. Homes that rely on groundwater or private wells are at the highest risk. Radon exposure is the second leading cause of lung cancer after smoking and the leading cause among non-smokers. There is also growing evidence linking ingestion of radon-contaminated water to stomach cancer. The mechanism is straightforward but deadly. Ionizing radiation damages DNA, increasing mutation rates inside cells. Over time, this damage accumulates silently, raising cancer risk even in people with otherwise healthy lifestyles. Because radon is invisible and odorless, most families never test for it. 7. Volatile organic compounds, VOCs. Volatile organic compounds, or VOCs, such as benzene, trichloroethylene, TCE, and perchloroethylene, PCE, often enter drinking water through industrial solvents, fuel leaks, and aging underground storage tanks. These chemicals are highly mobile, meaning they travel easily through soil and groundwater. Once they reach a water supply, they are difficult to remove without advanced treatment. Many communities are exposed without knowing it. Benzene is strongly linked to leukemia, while TCE and PCE are associated with kidney cancer, liver cancer, and non-Hodgkin lymphoma. VOCs interfere with bone marrow function, disrupt immune defenses, and directly induce genetic mutations. What makes them especially dangerous is that harm does not require high doses. Even low-level, long-term exposure can gradually damage blood-forming tissues and weaken the body's ability to prevent cancer. 8. Radioactive isotopes, uranium and radium. Beyond radon, other radioactive elements such as uranium and radium can contaminate drinking water, particularly in areas with certain rock formations. These isotopes emit radiation from inside the body once ingested, exposing tissues continuously over time. Radium is especially dangerous because it mimics calcium and becomes embedded in bones. Once stored there, it irradiates nearby cells for years. This internal radiation exposure damages bone marrow and stem cells, increasing the risk of bone cancer, leukemia, and liver cancer. Unlike external radiation, this exposure cannot be easily avoided once contamination occurs. Clinical evidence suggests that even low concentrations, when consumed over decades, can significantly increase lifetime cancer risk. This is a silent exposure pathway that few people ever test for or even consider. 9. Lead. Lead is widely known for its harmful effects on brain development, but its role in cancer risk is often overlooked. In drinking water, lead usually comes from corroded pipes, fixtures, or plumbing systems rather than the water source itself. Unlike many toxins, lead does not directly mutate DNA. Instead, it weakens the body's ability to repair genetic damage caused by other carcinogens. This makes lead an indirect but powerful cancer enabler. It has been linked to kidney cancer and brain tumors, particularly when exposure occurs early in life. Childhood exposure is especially dangerous because it can permanently alter gene regulation and immune function. These changes may not cause cancer immediately, but they increase susceptibility decades later. The damage doesn't fade, it compounds over time. 10. Atrazine and other herbicides. Atrazine is one of the most widely used herbicides in agriculture and frequently contaminates drinking water through runoff after rainfall. It is especially common in farming regions and surface water supplies. Unlike traditional toxins, atrazine acts as an endocrine disruptor, meaning it interferes with hormone signaling rather than killing cells outright. Alarmingly, it remains biologically active at extremely low concentrations. Hormone-driven cancers, such as breast, ovarian, and prostate cancer, are particularly sensitive to these disruptions. Atrazine has also been linked to non-Hodgkin lymphoma. One of the most troubling aspects is that endocrine disruptors do not follow traditional dose-response rules. Very small amounts can trigger hormonal changes, especially with long-term exposure. This challenges the assumption that low levels automatically mean safe. 11. Microcystins from algal blooms. Microcystins are potent toxins produced by harmful algal blooms that form in lakes, rivers, and reservoirs. As climate change increases water temperatures and nutrient runoff, these blooms are becoming more frequent and more intense. Once microcystins enter drinking water sources, they can be difficult to fully remove using standard treatment methods. This creates a growing public health concern. Microcystins primarily target the liver, where they disrupt normal cell regulation and promote uncontrolled growth. Long-term exposure has been linked to hepatocellular carcinoma, one of the most aggressive forms of liver cancer. Even intermittent exposure may increase risk over time. Many water systems are now struggling to monitor and manage these toxins as blooms become more common. 12. Endocrine-disrupting pharmaceuticals. Trace amounts of pharmaceuticals, including synthetic estrogens, antiandrogens, and chemotherapy residues, are now detected in many drinking water supplies. These compounds enter water through human waste, improper disposal, and incomplete filtration during treatment. Unlike bacteria, these chemicals are not fully removed by conventional water treatment processes. Even at extremely low concentrations, pharmaceutical residues can alter hormone receptors and epigenetic signaling. This is especially dangerous during pregnancy, infancy, and puberty, critical windows for development. Long-term exposure has been linked to breast, prostate, and thyroid cancers. The concern is not immediate toxicity, but subtle, cumulative disruption that unfolds over many years. 13. Disinfection alternatives and nitrosamines. To reduce certain disinfection byproducts, some water systems use chloramines or ozone instead of chlorine. While this change can lower some risks, it introduces a new problem: nitrosamines. These compounds are among the most potent carcinogens known and can form as unintended byproducts during water treatment. Nitrosamines directly damage DNA by creating mutations that bypass normal repair mechanisms. They have been linked to stomach, esophageal, and bladder cancers in both animal and human studies. This highlights a difficult reality in water safety. Reducing one risk can unintentionally create another. It underscores the complexity of protecting public health through water treatment alone. If this video opened your eyes, even a little, please like it and subscribe to the channel. The more people who understand these hidden risks, the more lives we can protect. Knowledge is power, and when it comes to cancer prevention, awareness can truly save lives.